Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about energy, tarot, how the brain works, how this is all linked. I think there's a lot of misconceptions within the community. So a little bit about me. I do work in a subset of neurology. I have been studying, manifestation, the different universal laws, energy, all of that stuff since I was a kid. So 20 plus years. So I have a pretty decent background on it. But a lot of people, I think, really get confused when it comes to tarot and manifestation. In the tarot community, everything seems to kind of be set in stone. In the manifestation community, it's like, don't listen to tarot because that's how you get bogged into thinking that something that somebody else says is going to come true, and then you naturally manifest it. So what I want to kind of talk about and clear up is that, first off, I'm an energetic reader. Most tarot readers are. What we mean by that is there's a common misconception for people who maybe are newer to tarot, that if we give you a reading, what we say is absolutely set in stone, and that is not the case. We read the current energy surrounding your situation, whether that be the energy of somebody else that you're asking to pick up on, or your own energy. So if you are really, really depressed and have a really negative mindset around a situation, that is what is going to pop up. Now, obviously on, YouTube, we're picking up a collective of energies. So some things that readers say may vibe with you, some may not. Okay. So that's why it's really important when you're doing, these big general readings, just to take what resonates and leave the rest. Because if it's resonating with you and you're saying yes, 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 then that's probably pretty indicative that you were within that energy state. Okay. If there's ever anything that you are wanting to hone into on yourself, I highly suggest getting a personal reading with somebody you trust. So now if we kind of cut over to the manifestation community, there's a lot of confusion about how do my thoughts create? How does this happen? How do I control something? How do I change something? So to understand this part of it, you kind of have to understand how the brain actually works and how time is perceived, how time is just a linear construct for humans. So if you go way back to the Big Bang, this is when everything was created, including space and time. Therefore, if space and time was all created at once, every possibility has to have been created at that one time, okay? Now, time is not linear, but the reason that we process time as being linear as human beings is because of our brain and the way that we perceive reality to be. So if you look at how your brain holds memory, okay, that's the past. The only reason that you are able to look at time as a past construct is because you have a memory of an event that has taken place. Okay, so this is why, like, people with Alzheimer's or dementia, they lose that part of the brain that processes newer memories, and I won't go into the science behind that. That's a whole other talk. But they will lose the short-term memory coming in. They'll remember things from a very long time ago, like who they married, how many kids they have, etc. But they're not able to process in the brain any short-term memories because those parts of the brains are, either dying off or have disease, whatever the case may be, depending on what's going on with them individually. So you were only able to perceive what your human brain is allowing you to perceive. Another good example, simple one, to be able to understand this is somebody who is blind. You and I together, because we have similar senses, we're both human beings, right? You and I can both look at a cup on the table and say, this cup is blue. And we can agree that it's blue. because our brains are set up similarly. Okay, this is how we get into people can perceive the same things, but their perception is going to be a little bit different. Someone might have different color receptors in their eyes. It might be a little more bold, whatever. Each individual experience is going to be tailored to that particular person, depending on, again, the healthiness of their brain, how things are working. So going back to the blind person example, a lot of people think that if you're blind, you just, like if you're actually totally blind, not like 50% or just a little bit, or you can see shadows or things like that. If you are 100% totally blind, you do not see black. You just do not see anything. You don't have the perception of it being there. So if you're following along with me, just because a blind man standing next to you cannot see the blue cup on the counter does not mean that it does not exist. Okay, so these are where different perceptions come in. For people such as myself, and I do very strongly believe that everybody has this ability, some people are able, again, to pick up on energies. They're more sensitive to other people's energies. They may see visions. They may hear things. That is because of the way that our brains are wired, and we're ever evolving beings, okay? We're constantly going to be evolving. We're going to have many more things that we're able to perceive, as time goes on and as we evolve as a species. It really is no different than somebody being on a psychedelic, DMT, anything like that. They are able to perceive things differently because things are now firing differently within the brain. So back to manifestation. So now we've covered the past and perception, how things are working, and your perception, we can kind of squeeze that into the present time, being in the present moment. Well, your future, or what we deem as our future, right? Because time is not linear. Everything is happening now. Everything is happening in the present. Everything that can exist already exists. Every possibility is already there. Okay? So essentially, really all the future is an imagination, okay? And it's just because we have the ability to imagine as human beings. So in a nutshell, the only thing that the future really is imagination, okay? Because it doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. Everything is happening right now. Space-time was all created at the same time. Everything is ever evolving, expanding, happening in this present moment right now, okay? And this is where you get a lot of spiritual teachers like Osho, Sadhguru, who will talk about those kinds of things. Dispenza talks about it a bit in terms of shifting into the quantum realm with manifestation and healing your body, if you guys are ever interested in any of that. So the really beautiful thing about this, if we kind of go back to understanding how the brain works, how if you just absolutely hate your boss, you think he is just a pile, he was mean to you one day, and now you're assuming that he's going to be mean to you every day. Now your brain is going to say, okay, those synapses are firing. Your brain likes to learn how to do things and repeat it so it can focus on other things, right? That's why when you first start learning how to drive, you really got to pay attention, and now you can drive anywhere and you're not even paying attention, you're zoned out, you're eating your food, you're doing whatever, okay? So if you have that assumption and you run with it, your brain is going to go on autopilot and keep doing that for you. And anytime you see the trigger, aka your boss or whatever the case may be, those synapses are going to get fired, they're going to keep going, you're going to strengthen that, okay, this is what's called neuroplasticity within, the neuro community. So the reason that manifestation can feel hard for some people, or they'll say, I'm manifesting something and it is not working, is because you have been firing all these, these connections and strengthening them without maybe even consciously realizing that that's what you're doing, right? Because none of us want to manifest or create something shitty. But the phrase perception is reality is so, So absolutely true. The reason that the 3D seems like it's something you can't control is because it seems like it is outside of you. But when you understand that everything is happening within you, then you begin to understand how you can use your imagination to change things, to change the future. Your brain, side note, cannot tell the difference between something actually happening in the 3D, you watching something, or you imagining it happening, okay? This is another reason that manifestation works. If you keep focusing on something imaginatively, you can create it to happen because your brain is going to keep firing until that happens within your reality. Now, if you're not understanding the concept of everything happens within you, think of it this way. You have your five senses, right? Or that's the most common thing that we think of and we're taught at school. You have your five senses. You can see, you can hear, you can smell, blah, blah, blah. Your eyeballs are the only part of your brain that's pushed out of your skull, okay? So if we just go with visual input, you see something outside of you. It seems like it's outside of you, but it has to go through all these pathways into your brain for your brain to understand what is happening. Okay, same if you feel something. If you touch something, it goes through all of these pathways up into your brain so that your brain can register this. And this is all just survival. The only reason that our brains have developed any of this is for survival. So when you really understand that, you see that the outside world is all being perceived within you. So if you have a natural assumption that something is negative or going to be negative, then your brain is going to say, okay, this is negative. And when this happens again, I'm going to perceive it as negative. It's like riding a bike. If you get on a bike when you're a kid and you're, oh my God, I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall. Your brain is saying, okay, you are imagining that you're going to fall. This needs to happen. So it really is just as simple that your thoughts create. Now, how does this tie into tarot? If you're getting a tarot reading and you have a negative energy coming up, that's where you probably have a block. If you're saying, ooh, this reading is resonating with me, you know, this person is telling me that my ex is a narcissist and a player and I don't like this and I agree with it. Well, the universe, your mind, God, your brain, your consciousness, whatever you want to call it, is going to say, okay, your ex is a narcissist, so you're telling me that. Now this is how this person is going to be perceived. And so in the future, that's how they are going to be perceived. And guys, this can be for any divination tool. You can call this intuition. You can do this with tarot. You can do this with leaf reading, tea reading, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so this is how you're able to use this information to kind of get what you want. And this is why in my readings I always say, I'm just telling you where you are if you're resonating with what I'm saying, so that you have the power to change it, okay? Because if you want to manifest money in, and I'm in a reading telling you that you're feeling doubtful, you don't trust yourself, you're feeling lack, whatever the case may be, and you're resonating with that, well, you can go and affirm all day long, I am abundant, I am abundant, I am abundant. But if you don't actually believe it, or you don't actually change your imagination on money, or the way that you receive money, or change your imagination by saying, well, maybe money can come to me through all these different ways, and kind of just really play and have fun with the universe, then you're going to have, you know, this block and this thing that is preventing you from getting your manifestation, okay? So you have to find what works for you and continue to hone in on that. And if you're new to manifestation, this is why some things that are smaller or that you're not connected to may be easier to build your belief system. Because if you have a belief system that manifestation doesn't work, you're probably not even going to want to put the work into trying to make something happen. Guys, I'm going on a tangent. I'm going to end the video here. I'm going to explain more of these concepts in detail kind of as I go. If you're interested, in personal readings, custom affirmations, manifestation info, coaching, you can email me. My email is listed below, or my website information will be down there depending on when you watch this video. As always, thank you guys for your support. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking all of my videos. Peace, love, and light, and I will see you all another time. Bye.